Okay, let's get started with milestone 1, where we are going to define your brand licensing end goal. Please download milestone 1 at our website. Okay, so the first question that the brand licensor is going to want to know is, what industry sector are you currently involved in? This is obviously a very important question because you want to ensure that the industry sector that you are offering is not an industry sector that the brand licensor is already involved in. So now let's look at a few examples of an industry sector right now that is booming. The video game industry has seen exponential growth thanks to brand licensing, almost double the growth in the past 8 years. So let's look at one example. The DJ in question is DJ Dixon, who has a brand licensing deal with Grand Theft Auto. So what happens in a brand licensing deal for a DJ in a video game is the DJ will be live streaming a real concert into the virtual world of the video game. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal in that sense, and it's quite profitable, I would imagine. Now let's look at how the Fortnite video game has used Marshmello as a licensor to further their brand. So in this case, Marshmello is live streaming to 45 million people while also conducting a concert at the same time. Another form of brand licensing. The next question is regarding product specialty. This is where the brand licensor wants to dig a little bit deeper into the chosen vertical that you are presenting. So for example, let's say that you are a toy company. If you're a toy company, you have a few different product specialties, whether it's girls' toys, infant and preschool, boys, or entertainment and games. This is the type of level of detail I'm talking about. The next question deals with company turnover. That's typically a kind of a delicate question. Nobody really wants to give away their total revenue numbers. And you really have two options. Either A, you can give a top line number, which would be your retail sales dollars from a retail price point number, or you can give the invoiced sales, so the actual revenue dollars from your sales, which is probably what they're looking for. It's a much better indicator than a retail company turnover. So if you can give them your true invoiced sales revenues, this would probably just save you a headache down the road. As far as the competition, in some verticals, you're going to have a lot of competition, most notably the power tool vertical. If you have a lot of competition, then I would suggest you focus on your top 5. If your vertical does not have a lot of competition, then just explain, that it's really a maturing vertical, and that in itself is something that can draw some interest from licensors. The next question that you'll be asked is, what is your current range of products? What do you currently sell? So here they want to know, what other licenses have you held? Pretty self-explanatory. They're going to want to know, how long has the longest license that you've held been? Pretty self-explanatory as well. Now let's talk about new products and what to expect from the licensor and their expectations. What's important to note with new products is that you need to be cognizant of the fact that you will now have to be dealing with a licensor, which means that when you have a new product in year 2, for example, March, April, May, you're going to have to provide concept development with samples to them. Then in June, you'll have to go through your line reviews. Then July, get the PO issued. Then in August, make sure the prototypes are approved. Then you produce and you ship September through December. So that just shows you the lead time that you need to take into consideration now that you're going to be dealing with a licensor. The next question is regarding distribution and what countries do you trade in, because this will probably come into play as far as the exclusive territories that you are going to request. So why is this important? Well, it's important because in the world of intellectual property, you have copyrights, trademarks, patents, and registered designs. We are looking at trademarks. And trademarks, what you need to be sure of from your licensor is that they have actually registered their brand in the countries that you want to trade in. So, for example, which are the top countries in the world that are processing trademarks? Here is the list. China, US, Japan, the European Union. That's all the 28 countries in one. Then Iran, the Russian Federation, India, France, all by itself outside of the EU, Turkey, and the Republic of Korea. So these would be viable countries to work with as far as a licensor already having trademark brands in those countries. Then they're going to ask you about your distribution. What key retail accounts do you have? You can also mention any wholesale distribution accounts as well as any B2C, business to consumer accounts, so digital, e-commerce, and so forth. This is where you want to list that. And then finally, the last question they'll ask you is, what is your industry sector? When they're asking you your industry sector, essentially this is to really understand what is the potential as far as growth potential for this vertical. The thing you would want to do is you would want to restrict the size and scope of the industry that you're presenting, only because if you present a very large industry, then that licensor is going to expect a larger forecast, which means a larger annual minimum guarantee. If you are able to restrict the size of that industry by giving them an SIC code, then at that point, you are helping yourself because they're going to realize that the size of the industry is not as large as they thought it was. Therefore, they cannot expect huge forecasts as well as huge annual minimum guarantees. So this is just a little trick as far as making sure that you are still presenting a sizable deal, but it's a deal that you can digest and is manageable from a financial standpoint. So this wraps up our